Welcome to the channel. This is Reliable Rudy. Let me get a couple things set up and we will get this underway. Before we go over any analysis or any live trading, you guys should know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. It's not financial advice, just sharing my opinion in this analysis. So the tickers that we have for the title, we have VFC is the first one, VFC. Now this one was kind of put on map. As soon as I put an alert above the wick high from Friday, we get an open price. It attempts to fill the gap down. We get alerted, and when it came back in, I don't quite remember where my fill was at, but I am gonna go take a look real quick. This one was pretty early in the day. We got 1965 for the entry, so we have no fills on the name, but I could respect this. But just with the chart setup, breaking this downtrend, getting close to that positive break, we have the increased volume. Is this volume going to increase? So a little early in the day, but we think we can run this up to that gap fill up there. So we're going to try. TMC, we cut that at the end of the day on Friday, up 9%. So that kind of sucks that got the gap up continuation. The other title name is TEL. Now our entry on TEL, we do have a stop in on the name, but I'm going to go ahead and cancel it. We got a 133.9 fill on TEL. So here is the open for the day. We gap down. We kind of wick down a couple times. I want to show me that wick. I just tried it in at this level, which is kind of this sort of flat top right here. So you can see I'm marked at 135. If we mark that flat top, 134, you can see what I was trying to buy right there. And not every time that it works like this. We also took a couple losing trades. Like I said, I put a stop loss in, so this would have alerted me, and I could have averaged in at 33s, but it never alerted me. And we had our stop underneath of this wick at 129, as we probably had some sort of trend line built in there as well. Another title name we got is CLF, Cleveland Cliffs. And we took this pretty much right off the open. We got a 1620 fill, and we have one print off of 1640. But I already am telling myself, hey, we probably have some sort of descending channel right here if it wants to follow that. But we also probably have some sort of uptrend build right there. So I'm going to give this underneath of wick low for the day. And we're going to let that go. Another name is AGEN. Now this is a newer one that I just took as I was getting ready to live stream. We just took it in the middle of this candle somewhere, and the reason why we took it is we got the open close right even, and it wicks down like it wanted the trade lower. It could have washed out some stops. Well, buyers bought it up, and we were able to kind of hold for the time being. But looking at the daily chart with this one was one that I was okay trying. Because it's kind of wicking into this level. You can kind of see it wicking into that level right there. And it's fighting over top of these body candles. So at 180, we're sitting right here. So I took the middle of that candle because it was showing me a green candle above that. Is it going to be able to turn up? Is it going to be able to fight this downtrend? So that is what we're watching. So keeping an eye on VFC. And I mean, I'm still open to trying to find more. We did have some alerts. Snowflake was one that I was watching, but it was kind of a gap down, filled the gap type of deal. We look at the 15-minute chart. Okay, we can see we have an identified descending channel and a trend line. We have some highs that we're getting ready to wick into. So how does it act off of those highs? It should be worth noting that Roblox, we did add a little bit of roadblocks, and we are going to probably try and give it this gap, which meets up with this previous high. So not the greatest start to the week for roadblocks, but looking at the daily chart, you can see that sort of indecision candle. It would have been nice to get a piece off. Just had my eyes elsewhere, but I do think there is some pretty solid support built in right there that I can take advantage of. Looking at the top mover of the day, we got Sing, which has been sitting right around that 99 pretty much the whole time. AGEN, VFC catching a little resistance. PayPal, it kills me to see PayPal up in the upper 60s now, as we were talking about it right here, right around this gap fill, as it continued to hold that 63. But that's alright. I think my best name is probably going to end up being Tell. Percentage wise, of course, we got a pretty decent fill on Tell. And yeah, other than that, this AGEN, we're going to put a stop under 75s more than likely. If it gives up 75s, then we're going to be gone on this one. But we do think that this one can catch a bid. Nice move to the upside to start the day, our 1-2. Now a little bit of sideways consolidation. Is this going to be able to pan out and give us a move to the upside? Yeah, so that is what we got. Do we have anyone tuned in? Let's take a look. No questions. It's a Monday, so don't put all your eggs in one basket by any means. The Nasdaq short is ripping right now. We get the gap up, fills the gap, and now it's looking like it wants to rip. This VFC coming on in a little bit. I'm not opposed to adding more at like 1970. Just because it was able to wash out the top, I was able to push this sort of downtrend that you can see right there, just marking the tops right there. I was able to push that for the time being, but is it going to be able to have any further movement to the upside? We can bounce around on some of these sticky note names from the weekend. FCell was one, kind of gave out the lows, descending channel. Gonna need some time. Plug, this is one of the losing names that we took, and looking at it now, it was a pretty good stop. We took the fill in the middle of this candle right here, testing these highs. We also added a little bit higher and then added a little bit at 36s, and we put a stop at 32s. 32s stopped me out. Now we're sitting at 10s. Rig was a trade from last week. We sold it in the middle as it was retesting this low right here. I didn't think it was going to pan out like this. I actually thought it could have retraced up to 620s, but we're like, hey, weak name, giving up the sort of uptrend that we had, gap down to it. So that's why we cut the rig position. We had some good prints on it, just it didn't end up working out for us, which, sometimes that's part of it. AGEN still kind of holding sideways right here. If we look at the daily chart, I do expect some resistance off of maybe these wick lows right here. So that's up to 185. So that's kind of what we've traded at. It's day's high on the day is 185 right there. TMC, strong name. I wish I still had a piece of it, as the chart is got a nice ascending channel building as well. So it sucks to not say, hey, we're in TMC still. But no, we ended up cutting this. Yeah, I never really had a reason to cut it near the end of the day here. I just thought that this was giving a frowny face and this was going to give up the bottoms and who knows, retrace down to the gap down, or whatever the case may be. So it sucks to be out of TMC, and it's at a 150 level right here, getting ready to take out these wick highs. So I mean, there could be something there still, but when I had the entry down here, we had an entry at 128 on this wick low, had some good prints up to 140s. I'm just okay with that, I think. Tell, we have 5 minutes left on this candle, kind of coming in to some levels right here, but also rejecting or showing some sort of rejection of this little 144. And VHC AGEN still wicking into the level, so I think AGEN, looks fine for right now. CLF is probably one that I should keep an eye on, and still holding this range right here. So you're seeing a lot of names give up these sort of trend lines, and CLF, if we look at the daily, this is why we took the trade right at the open and had confidence that this 620, my plan was actually to average into it down in the 1605 gap. But we tried it with a starter position, and we have one print on the name, so we're feeling pretty good about that one. Stony, we gave up Stony. We sold it for a winning trade. We got stopped out of it. We seen this wick low come in. We didn't get out of it here because we seen it wicking into this low. All I did was put a stop underneath of that wick, and I think it was a 1334. We got stopped out. Could catch a bid. Who knows? But one thing that I did notice was also with that wick is I said, hey, we got some sort of trend line. If it gets underneath of that, I'm going to be out of Stony. DLO was another one from last Friday, and this was a good stop out. I'll be damned. Look at this, guys. I seen the red engulfing candle and the green candle rejecting these lows. All we did was sell at market, and the reason why we sold at market is because that's sort of that trend line right there, and that's a bear flag type of setup. We go to a 5-minute chart. You can see 2 candles with increasing volume from Friday. Trades down, boom. Gives up the trend line, gives Key Corp. We did just put an alert. We put an alert on Key Corp. This is one that we've talked about. Not a very good setup by any means, and actually giving up some sort of temporary trend line. Let's go to a 5 or a daily chart, and you can see I'm just gonna try and play this gap. I don't know if it's gonna have any meaning to it or not, but this could have some sort of trend line in here as well. So as we get close to that gap, I just want to keep alerting that name down to that gap so that I don't miss out on it. But no, other than that, Dow Jones down a whole percent. SPY's down almost 1%. NASDAQ down almost 1%. So I would say just try and find strength. Try and find strength. Try and find setups that are green. Even if they're red, make sure that, maybe from the open price, they're still green and not giving up lows. VFC came all the ways back in, so I had no prints on the name. And actually, with it wicking into that, all I'm going to do right here is I'm going to put a sort of trend line in right there. And I'm looking at this and saying, hey, we got a flat top. Hey, underneath the trend line, I'd be giving it some room, of course. But VFC, I am going to go try and add just a little bit of size on this name, because I do think that this one has some potential, as here's your open candle, and it's right at these previous highs, which you could say is a neckline right there, and also right off these flat tops right here. I'm expecting some buyers, which it's wicking into it at the time. That doesn't mean it's going to hold. So I'm going to give this down to the trend line. We might have one more add on this, and then tell. So we got the decrease in volume, still a little bit high, but I think we're actually going to go try and average in a little bit more on tell. Now that I can see just a little bit more information, we're just going to up the size just a little bit. That doesn't mean that it's going to work out, but we are going to try it just for a little size. And I do not like how this red candle right here engulfs the entire green candle from before, but it did have 2 candle moves to the upside, so it's still in the middle of that green move, which is what I'm hoping for. AGEN still holding this level right here. If this pulled into like 178, which is this flat top right here, then there might be something there, but I'm not saying that this is a home run play, because we're still in this downtrend right here. We might just trade sideways, and then it builds this sort of flat bottom break to the downside. Soundhound, it sucks. I'm sure if Drift was in here, he'd be like, man, you are on the money with Soundhound. Just a simple trend line, down to a 250, gets a nice bid. Okay, I mean, shit happens. Uh, Sometimes buying that trend line and it works out for you. You never know where that thing's gonna go. But yeah, other than that, just kind of nursing these positions and seeing how it goes. Cleveland Cliffs came all the ways back in to our level. So we might just want to go put a stop in for this name. I don't want to see it give up a red engulfing through the low. Let's just go ahead and go 16, 18. That keeps it close to a green trade. And then we can maybe try it at a lower price. But I still think that this level can hold right there. Whether it holds or not, I'm not sure. Agent still holding the level. Slight gap up, but I'd expect 181 to at least print in the middle of this candle. And yeah, other than that, I'd say that's pretty much what we're looking at for today. Tell, keeping our eyes on Tell. And is there any newer positions that we got? We're gonna TMC. Still just sort of trading sideways, setting up this flat top at 150. It's going to give a green candle up to about 158, 160, and then it's going to try to hold 150s as support. That is what I'm going to be looking for. But a pretty good setup right here, honestly. I wish I still had the small position that I had originally. It wasn't anything with, crazy size or anything. I just was trying to respect the chart setup at the time, and sometimes that's just how it works out. So, yeah, looking around, we still think that there is some potential for some new names, and I'm going to look up Snow as one of those names. Yep, and that's why I gave a nice red candle down to the bottom of this channel. So now sitting right around these 180s, I'd expect it to catch a bid. So if I was looking for like a scalp to get like a couple bucks, I could get this up to like 181 probably. But let's see if we can come down to the trend line that we have marked right here. And, probably some built-in support, maybe, but that might have to be one that we wait for tomorrow. F-cell, same story, descending channel, plug. It is at this high right here, but red engulfing, no strength. Stem, same story, descending channel. BBAI, let's take a look at that one. Yep, same story. Everything's kind of looks like it's just giving up the ghost right now. GovO, same story. VFC. So VFC, we did just get that ad in here off these previous highs, and actually my ad is sitting in the money. So this one could have some weight to it as it's breaking that downtrend, and also kind of just retested that neckline right there. Could be setting up for a break of 20. Hopefully, I'd be okay with that. So now I'm just kind of scrolling through my watch list and seeing if there's any like big differences where I can find some movement. So if I just refresh this, give it a little bit of time, I'm going to see which ones are kind of outperforming the other ones on the watch list. So let's see if we can find anything that's maybe some of these red to green plays. Kissick with a nice little chart setup. Nice green candle, strong move. Would have been nice to get like a 402 break. VFC now turned red. Candle has now turned red. We're sitting at 1964. Yeah, I mean, I I think this tell play looks pretty good. We did have an ad at these 138s. And AGEN. So just kind of trading sideways, looking like it wants to be some sort of bull flag. If this wants to give me a move up to like 190s, I think we'll also just start respecting some levels and go from there. So that, I mean, that's what we got. And then we got our stopping on Cleveland Cliffs. And that's still just kind of sitting right here. So, uh, yeah, I don't know what else I am to do. Man, I brewed some coffee and haven't even gotten any of it yet. It's an interesting little setup right there. I was able to take out the highs, probably some sort of trend line in here. Look at the daily on this. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for strength and looking for just a simple day trade, I'd say a NASDAQ short wouldn't look half bad. Weak name, so this is probably going to be on the weak names to watch. But that 15-minute chart, pretty strong chart on that 15-minute. We can look at BYD for a potential trim. It's always tough. You know, another name that was on the list was Enphase, and kind of wicked into the bottom of this sort of channel we had marked. Wicking into some levels. The way I'm looking at this is, you know, more than likely this is gonna fill 165. But now that I'm seeing this candle be put in, I am gonna have no interest in it, as I want it to come down to sort of this trend line right here. And if we can get that, we will be holding this for a longer swing, as we think this is some sort of ascending channel build right there. Yeah, I mean, seeing it is still early entries, gaps up right around a 1 flat. TMC at that 150 level. Wick high on the day, 152. And AGEN giving us that bid right here. So this is what we were looking for, fellas. This is what we were looking for. So we can start going on the ask probably around this 188 to 190. And I would say this flat bottom break right here, boom, flat bottom break, up to 194 is what we're going to be watching as well. Tell kind of continuing to hold this range. I like the setup. VFC kind of giving up the level for right now, and actually giving up. You know, you do have a nice trend line right here though, so I'm going to give it down to this trend line. We're going to try going on the bid at 1950 and see if we can oh man, get a little size on this position. Excuse me guys, I'm going to go get some coffee. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Ah, that first cup of coffee, man. Whew. Whew, whew, whew. Oh, we got H and H, VCIG. VCIG call. Oh, boy. Yeah, so nice volume. These two candles right here, when you see increasing volume, majority buyers on this second candle. This first pullback candle could have put it on radar as it's showing you that wick. You could have just marked the body of this top candle. Now maybe you don't try it right away at this 390 because it's showing a rejection of 4 and giving up 4. But as it starts showing that wick and it gets above that candle right there, which is also the body of the next candle, the low of it, you could have tried it. Another option you could have had is as soon as this green candle gets over like this 425, which is the bodies of these candles, you could have also tried it. The third option is wait for the wick top, which is a 442 break. And why would that have been okay is because that candle would have been a full green candle at the time. You have two candles of decreasing volume and now taking out the highs right here. So this one is probably going to be a ripper all day. Uh, Newer stock, I don't really have enough information to go off of my commodity, but maybe we go to an hour chart and it shows you, yep, here's your positive break in the middle of this candle right, or on the gap up, and it holds, see how it holds the gap right here? So we gap up, we wick down, it never gets below this wick. And then as soon as it starts taking out the highs, you would have had to been a very good trader to say, hey, I'm going to buy this into the close, and you would have got rewarded greatly. Um, but yeah, obviously I didn't even have this on watch or on radar at all, but we'll add it to the watch list for today. Yeah, that was a really good move. That's a almost ideal setup. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. These two candles are almost reaching a mil volume on each one. So yeah, pretty darn good setup right there. Oh, let's go around. AGEN, it gave us a wick up to 85s or 86 right there. We like this sort of setup and we are going to be okay holding it. TEL kind of sitting right in this range as well. Can we get some further upside movement on TEL? Cleveland Cliffs, you know, kind of still holding in the range. We're sitting on a stop loss at 18s. We're in at 20s. We had a print at 40s. We haven't reloaded just because we have some sort of descending channel that we have to prepare for. So if this channel kind of follows out, I'm going to expect this 605 or 1605 gap, which is what we're going to be on the bid for. What other name was there? I forget. VFC? VFC, was that the one? So VFC kind of trading this level, but we're going to give this the trend line. We have a 64 print, so we're out of the money a little bit, and then we also have an ad. Well, where was that ad at? No, we have an ad. We have a 64. Both my prints are at 64s, right off this flat top. So we're out of the money a little bit on this one, but I think this 1950 looks pretty good, as it was a nice flat top right here. You can see 1950s is the wick low as well. So those are the kind of the tickers that we're watching, and I like the TEL setup. Pretty good entry on TEL as well, right off the flat top. And the Nasdaq short catching a little bit of resistance, but I would expect these previous tops right here to be pretty solid support and be pretty attractive. And on as we're taking out the highs, so you gap up, you fill the gap, take out the highs. It was also a trend line hold as well. So if this pulled back into like 1975, you know, I'd say that's probably a reasonable trade in my opinion. But this VCIG, you know, if we were looking, we'd want to see, I would expect this candle, 13 minutes left, to just kind of leave a wick into there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a green engulfing candle continue up to like 6, and then we start to build the pole. So that is the build of the pole for the continuation, and then we get a couple red candles back in. Now, if this candle wants to be red, I want to see the volume. You know, it can be up a little bit. That's all right on that first one, as long as it's not super high on that volume. But then I want to see those next couple candles decrease and pull into a level. So like this wick top wicking up to like 450. If this pulled back in slowly down to like that 450, and maybe it doesn't get there, maybe it only gets to like 460, give or take, then I would be interested in that. But just need a little bit more time on this, and I'm gonna put an alert at like 75s, just in case this wants to be the high for right now, and we get triggered on an alert. But if this takes out the high, I'm telling you, this is gonna print 6, maybe even higher. AGEN kind of trading in the range right here. We're okay with the position we got. The one that I think we're probably gonna get stopped out of is Cleveland Cliffs. We knew it was early entries, but the daily picture tells it better. As here's that 16 gap, it gaps up, retraced down. Here's where we tried, as it was wicked into those 20s, we tried it, and we had a print up into the wick lows, which is at 40s. But positive break, just kind of respected an EMA, more of a swing trade, slower mover, so I'm not really the most in tuned with that one. I'm more focused on this, also a descending channel, but this AGEN and TEL. So TEL, if this were to catch a bid on Friday, it had the nice increasing volume inside of the green candle move. This candle also turning green on sort of a weaker day, so and I'm sure there's a lot of red in the market today, so just trying to figure out where strength is at. Find names that are moving. Don't try the pullback buy, in my opinion, which is what this VFC is doing. As you can see, a little bit of increased volume right here. Nice U-shape build. Still green on the day though. So you can see it's kind of wicking into that. It's just the gap is at that 150s or 1950 as well. So we're gonna have to decide what we want to do with this. If this trend line is gonna hold here, Do we want to add more, or do we want, I wish I could sit here and tell you, yeah, we were trimming up towards this 20, but we weren't. We had our eyes elsewhere, and we thought at that 20 we were actually going to get closer to a breakout as it broke the downtrend. VCIG, this is one that we're going to keep an eye on because even when it takes out the high, that volume increase right there, there's a lot of eyes on it. And that TMC, I wish I could tell you we still had that entry over here, but we don't. TMC, nice green move, flirting with this high over here. Is it going to reject that 160s and come back down the 150s? Nice green candle coming in, pulls back in the 150s, seems reasonable. I didn't even see that response, Hal. You buy the caffeine and you eat them in chunks. Man, that is. I don't even know where to buy caffeine. Can you buy that at a store? I don't know. Can you buy that at a store? I've never heard of just buying straight caffeine. We are gonna up this alert to right here. I want to get alerted if that gets underneath there. We might just try this. Just take the profit at hand when it gives it to us. RBLX came into the gap. How does it act at the gap? Looking at the daily, nice wick right there, but we are at some levels right here. Wicking into that for the time being. VCIG. Looks like this candle, we got 7 minutes left on it, but this is probably going to be the start. So is this going to be some sort of descending channel for the next few candles? You want this to be as tight of a channel as possible and just trade into as close to 450 as possible. Obviously early tell, so don't keep this downtrend in regard. For all I know, this last 7 minutes really catches the volume. This is why I said, this first candle, it's alright if the volume's kind of extended, as long as I get the decreasing volume on the way down to that 450. That's what I'm going to be focused on. AGEN, kind of just a slow mover, but I do like the chart setup, and unlike a lot of other tickers, as you can see in my watch list, look at all these 5% movers to the downside. Holy buckets. Look at them all. Look at all the red movers. Yeah, so I mean, to just try and find stocks that have upward momentum, even if they end up flushing on you, okay, they're going to break some levels eventually. If that is the case, where you can say, okay, let's get out of it here. So I mean, not the positions that we're in for today, they're not really like crazy movers, but there's not really much out there. Unless Hal has another banger trade that he wants to share with us. Lambo trade? You got a Lambo trade where I can just go dump everything into it and get a Lambo tomorrow? If you got that trade for me, Hal, you let me know. VCIG. I know we're watching it, man. We just need to give it a little bit of time and look at that wick in the middle of that green candle. This is what I was saying. Holds at 5. This one's gonna give some rip to the upside. I'll give you that. Now, I would have only been, that's the only one for the day, but too late. Well, I wouldn't say too late. I wouldn't say too late. If more people want to buy than sell at a given price, that price is going to go up. And this candle is already turning green. So I mean, if this candle is red and now that it showed me that wick right there, this next candle, we might be ready to pull the trigger at like a 475. In the middle of this green move right there is what we're going to be focused on. Everything else brown water. Yeah, this VCIG, if you'd put this one on radar for me early in the day, I might have tried it in the middle of this green candle here. But that's probably on me. I'm not going to put that on you. Uh, but yeah, we'll stick with our slower movers for the time being. AGEN sitting at this previous high right here. I wouldn't want to see this come back down in. My out is going to be the flat top. Flat top, if we get underneath this 180 flat top, I am going to, or 178 flat top, that is going to be my out more than likely. We are in the money on it. Slower mover, of course. More in the money on TEL. I'm just gonna keep it on watch. And this cannabis ETF coming in at a downtrend. We can go look around at some of the other names we had. BBIA, yeah, that looks like crap. GovO, crap. CLF, still holding that level. VFC, and here we are at this 3 candles. Yeah, is this 1950? We'll try it. But we're immediately gonna put a stop underneath like underneath these wicks, which is like a 1945, which is right at this sort of neckline break right here. We'll just give this 1940. We'll give it 1942, and if this trend line wants to work for us, it's gonna work for us. So let's go ahead and put this order out there. VFC. We'll go off 1952. $19.52, if that triggers us, we want to know. So let's put an alert. Ah, gosh darn it. Key Corp. We'll take off the stem. Stem is trash. But it is leaving a nice wick for right now. So let's add an alert right there. Let's go take a look at Key Corp. Got very close. Nice trend line on this name. Approaching a gap fill that it was never able to get down to. So that's what we got on watch right there. Buying weakness, which on a day like today, but KeyCorp has already been down. I think it's possible that we could see it catch a bid. Sort of a tight channel down to the gap. Makes sense in my book. Also have a trend line build on the commodity as well. So that is one thing that we like to see. And we'll probably give it underneath the green candle, which is just so happens to be a 950. So anything below 950, we're going to be out of that name. And wow, take a look at this. So still building that pull, increased volume, going to be a green candle more than likely. If this wicked down and turned to a red candle in this last minute, that volume is going to be scary to kind of play with. But this one looks like a pretty decent trade. We could have tried it right in the middle of that, but of course we didn't. Now we're sitting up. The other is TMC. TMC, how is he going to act up at this 160? But this is a pretty nice setup right here as well. It would have been nice to hold that 128 entry into the close. I should have, but what do you do? FF right at the previous lows right there. holding that gap pretty well. I'd say PayPal still looks like a pretty strong name. Getting that positive break probably today if it catches a little bit more of a bid. We're going to be ready for this AGEN up at this upper 180s to 190 as well. And if we get a move up to 194, we're going to expect that flat bottom right there. But it did reject this 185. If it continues wicking into that, that could end up being the wick high right there. So that is worth mentioning. What do you think about XRX for a trade? I believe this is on my watch list. Yeah, it is on the watch list. I would say getting ready for a negative break, red engulfing through the level, tried wicking into the level originally, which was a gap fill, it looks like. I don't think this gap was filled, but it filled it on the money right there. You can see a little sneaky gap. These ones are the tough ones to find right here. Sneaky gap, gap fill. So anybody off this gap is now out of the money. So I would say if you're looking to trade this today, I would be careful. But you could also have a trend line that it tries to hold right here, and you have another gap fill right there around a 14 flat. And maybe this trend line can be played a little bit differently, sort of just keeping the green candles, add that wick right there in the bodies of the candle. So that could be meeting up at the bottom of this green candle. Maybe it gives you a wick underneath there. Pays a dividend 25 cents. That's a lot of their, the one thing I'll say, I mean, this is a quick way to just check payout ratio. Last quarter put up 42 cents, so if they can continue doing that, that covers that 25 cents. But if they can't meet that estimate and they miss and maybe they only put up 20 cents, well, 20 cents doesn't cover 25 cents. Previous year, so I mean, there are projecting some growth with the company. Revenue flat, but being more profitable is always good. Maybe there's some write-offs there, but 13 cents doesn't cover 25 cents. 19 and had write-offs or negative 250 a share doesn't cover 25 cents. 75 cents, so made up for it. Maybe they had some write-offs to the upside there, but reported way over the estimate. So maybe that's make up from some losses that they had to write off in this previous quarter. Does have some support down here. You know, if I was looking at it as an actual, let's just go pull up stock analysis and let's look up XRX. Financials. So I can see consistently decreasing revenue, now starting to flatten out. So if they can trade flat for a little bit, and you can see the gross profit as well. EPS in all of 22 was negative EPS. Margins are alright, 32%, but decreasing margins. Can they get back up to these 40% margins? Tough to say. But last 2 years of negative operating margin and profit margin. So is this dividend going to be safe? Look at the balance sheet. They have pretty good cash on hand, 2.1 billion. Total long-term liabilities, so cash covers almost half of their long-term liabilities. What else was I gonna look on this sheet? Okay, so 4.6 billion. Let's go take a look at the cash flow statement. Last year they put up only 100 million in free cash flow. Now if that can increase, let's look at the last couple quarters. Okay, so the last 2 quarters they put up 230, 240 million. So if they can continue that pace, 480 million to cover their long-term debts. If they can keep that pace up, of course. Keep in mind their last 2 years have been unprofitable. If they can keep up that pace, it's going to take about 8 to 10 years to cover that long-term liability. So not terrible. Not terrible. Current ratio, dividend, so negative payout ratio, 0 and 0. negative payout ratio, negative payout ratio, negative payout ratio. So if you're looking at this as some sort of a longer term play, I just don't think that this is. Now, if they turn it around, obviously it's a different story. But the next thing I'm going to do, since I'm already questioning their ability to be able to pay out that dividend, is look at the shares, and I'll be damned, they are actually buying back shares. So the one thing I would be worried about is if they can't pay that dividend, which these last two quarters they put up profitability. So maybe the bad is old news and it's kind of up from here. But if they started issuing shares, that would be very alarming to me. So I mean, there's positives and negatives with it. Positives and negatives for sure. But in terms of the price action right here, getting ready for a negative break right at a trend line, maybe you can just watch it act with this trend line a little bit and see how 1420, 1425, the bottom of this green candle, holds up. Oh, my bad. It's been a while. VCIG blasted through 6. It sure did. It sure did. Opens the next candle green, so this pull not quite over. Disregard that. So whenever this pull ends, you can see the volume, 8 minutes left. This volume is probably going to be up around this range as well. You know, this could be one of those with a lot of green volume coming in like this. We might even see a fourth green candle. But it's going to give out eventually, and we're going to see a couple red candles to the downside. Maybe mark the top of this green candle and the bottom of that wick right there. So like a retest of 5 potentially. Whenever that, I want to wait for that first red candle to come in and see that price move back in. Yeah, it'd be lovely to get that entry over here. Man, that would have been lovely. Yeah, that is a good point. You should always know what the company does. Workplace technology designs, develops, sells document management systems, solutions. International presence. I do like an international presence. Employees. So they have over 20,000 employees. So that's easy cost to just cut. If they're in a position where they need to cut cost, they can easily just lay off some workers. What else do they do? Where are they based out of? Are they based in the United States? Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely potential there. And looking at the chart, we can go back to XRX. I do agree that there is some support right here, so I can see what you're probably looking at. You know, you have some support here at 13, but you know, if this trend line gave up and it started trading down here at 13, you know, it could be a potential flat bottom break. I do want you to be aware that, you know, just because it's trading at support and trend lines and downtrends, whatever you want to call them, they're meant to be broken. They're meant to be broken. And you can see just because it happens once, oh, we wicked down in through this one time and we caught a bid right away and we ran all the ways up to 18. Just because it happens once doesn't mean it happens again. But I would say you do have a downtrend that you're going to have to work through as well, which is what we wicked into. So is this some sort of wedge pattern being built right here? Maybe. Maybe. You know, if that flat bottom did give up, you know, who knows, maybe 11 comes in. Please God, let it break down. I will continue the buy. I think that's scary. The only reason why I say it's scary is because, I mean, the way I look at these financials is the dividends is just kind of all over the place. It's not like a super high margin business, like profit or net profit and operating margin or margin wise. It's not like a premium, something like a company that I would say, oh, dude, if this breaks down, I'm gonna freaking hammer the boat. One thing that would come to mind for me would be like a CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike, high margin business. Now, operating profit margins weren't there as a newer company, but that free cash flow margin, they're still bringing in that free cash flow. So this was one of those names when I was like, man, if this one keeps breaking down, You look at quarter after quarter, compounding, boom, 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 consistently just compounding revenue every single quarter, and then you match that up with the compounding cash flow. This is one of those where, okay, as this is breaking down, I'm just gonna keep freaking hammering this thing. Just keep breaking down, I'm gonna keep hammering it. And so that would be more of like a company. I would say, okay, if it breaks down, I'm gonna say, yeah, let's load the boat. But just looking at the XRX, there's just not enough consistency here for me to say, oh yeah, if this keeps breaking down. I mean, 2014, their revenue's cut in half almost. So I mean, does this mean that it's going to go up from 7? I don't know. Does it mean it's going to go down? I don't know. Maybe they just stay flat. It's all pretty tough to say. I do like one part about it is that they bought back shares. So if they continue buying back shares, that is less dividends that they need to pay out, which leaves further room for growth in the dividends. If we look at the dividends, no dividend growth, negative payout ratio, it has a high yield. I can see where that would be very attractive, but they were able to buy back all those shares. In my eyes, I don't think they were buying back good shares. So then that makes me question the company's ability to understand where their shares are fairly priced as well. I don't know. It's just, if I'm thinking long on some companies, I want a little bit more clarity on some stuff. VCG. You're right, Hal. It was a Lambo trade. It was an absolute Lambo trade. I could have frickin' just tried it in the middle of that green candle. Let's see the daily on this. You know, we got a flat top gap right here. You know, now that we've broken past this red candle right here, I'm gonna do something crazy. So I think 17's possible. I know you might think that sounds crazy. I think 17 is possible. And I'm actually gonna use this fib tool and just mark out some levels. So I would say if you got an entry and you're holding the dream, I think all of these are very doable. And the top of this candle actually meets up right around my 702. So I mean, this is the dream move up here. If you get up to like 17, 1750. Through 9 now. Yeah, that was a good find right there, Hal. I'll give you that one. Up 200% on the day. When does this pullback come in? You know, for it to get back to the top of this green candle, it would have to fully red engulf that whole green candle. It's tough to know how many buyers are going to be in there, so kind of unlikely. But you do have nice 3 green candles, 3 red candles into some levels. You know, there isn't really many levels to go off of there either. So tough to say. One trade that is coming on in is this AGEN. Right around this level right here. Not really much increasing volume, decreasing pretty much the whole way down, which is what's going to keep me away from adding right here. But we're going to stay true to it for right now. We're in the money still, so I mean, might as well just stick with it. I don't like that green candle or this red candle move. It's a bear setup. So this is one thing that I've been keeping away from in terms of trading some bull flags. So if I wasn't in this position, I'm like, oh, we're trading right at this EMA. This should be golden, right? Nah, not necessarily. One part that I don't like about it is, you see how we get this gap down right there? And this wick comes through that gap. Well, it goes a little bit higher, of course. It goes 1 penny higher, but then it leaves this red candle right there. Those 2 red candles is actually a bear setup because this is an entry for a short to potentially build a position. And so if somebody got in short right here, And they said, oh yeah, it's working for me. They can reload, or not reload, but they can also continue adding to that position and average. Well, for a shorter scenario, it'd be averaging up, but I guess it would be averaging down at a lower cost. So, yeah, that would probably keep me away. And I would say if it does catch a bid, I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive of trimming this name into like 180s. But there's a bull and bear case scenario for anything. Bull and bear for everything. Tell, just nice sideways. I wouldn't say nice. I don't like that there's not very much volume coming into it. Oh, I guess there's decent amount of volume, but in terms of price action, just not much. But we're holding a 133 entry, so might as well just continue with it. If we wanted to up this alert and say, hey, if this gave up 140s, I want to be alerted so I can get out of it. But this AGEN VFC, that is going to be a fill on this name. I'm just going to try and respect these flat tops. I wonder if we got that fill or not. Not the best type of setup right here. Just playing this trend line. If it goes against us, we're probably stopping 1942s. And I am going to go ahead and put that order in. We did get the fill. And not much action off it. VFC, let's go ahead and put this stop in. 1944. We're going to give it that trend line. Take a small hit if that actually goes through. Yeah, not much size on any positions today, as you know, it's just a red day. In terms of looking for trades, finding strength is going to be a little bit harder unless you're Hal. You find these banger trades. Is this halted? Is this trade halted right here? Hal, do you know if it's halted? Space, Virgin Galactic. Nice bull flag setup right here. One pullback candle trying to take out the highs. One thing I'll say about this is if this is some sort of wedge pattern right here, this bull flag, if it pulled back into like 35s, could be red engulfing through that level. And does this level hold up at these previous highs? But it did wick into this first high right here. That's it. Nice green candle move on increasing volume. This candle, a little bit of increased volume right there, and not much indecision. A little bit of wick of buying, and that wick of buying comes in at the previous high. So not terrible. We were watching this. I think it was Kramer. Kramer was looking for SpaceX, and I just told him, hey, potential descending channel right here. Let's look at the daily. Daily chart needs to be looked at. And I will say that this green candle that's coming in is not half bad. Looking at it, you have a trend line. You get your positive break. Know where your positive break is on this, green candle move, candle consolidation, takes out the highs. Now we're trading sideways, holding at these wick lows. So we never get below those wick lows right there. So anybody buying this consolidation, they never get out of the money, and that just so happens to be at a 4 flat. So 4 holding, you get the gap up. It retraces down, retests the wick high from Wednesday. On Friday it did. And now we're getting a gap up again. And it never even had the weakness to get down to that 473 gap. Sort of breaking truly over that neckline. Not a half bad setup. Right at a 550. Thing I would say is a 6 break. Maybe it's worthy of waiting for a 6 break. Your true breakout would be a 670, I would say. And 670, you got a gap fill up at 814, so that's potential move. So from current price, 50%, that's not half bad. Yes, it's halted. I'm not surprised. This looks like a halt. Yeah, so where is this open price? This thing might even just freaking rip up to like 17 today. Who knows? it might just rip up 17 today. If it ripped up 17 today, I'm going to hate myself for not. I mean, I called it out originally that, this setup right here is gorgeous. That volume, almost a million in each 15-minute candle with a slow consolidation wicks on both sides, and then it takes out the highs. I mean, that was gorgeous right there. Could have bought the middle of that green candle. We were sitting here watching for it, and I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this candle turned green and tested up to 6. We get a test of 6, and it just freaking went berserk. Like I was not expecting a straight push up to 9. I was expecting maybe get into 6, a little over 6, and then trade down, attempt to retrace down to maybe a 5 flat. But man, that thing just went berserk. VTI 3230 gap. Mark it on your chart, Hal. You want a dividend play the average into? Not financial advice for anybody else out there looking. BTI. Only thing I don't like about BTI is they haven't bought back any shares. When they announce that they're going to start buying back shares, that is when you hop on this one. High margin, high operating, high profit, high free cash flow. They don't have quarterlies. It's an international company. But pretty consistent growth. Had a big acquisition in 18, so that's probably why the revenue is up like that. But consistent grower in terms of debt. Long-term liabilities around 60 million. Free cash flow growing year after year. Yeah, a little sideways right there. But 8% growth on the last year, not bad. About 12 million, so about 5 years cover their free cash flow. And their dividend, they're getting ready to. This dividend was paid March. Got some dividend growth from 66 to 69, and call it 70 flat. So you got a dividend growth catalyst, beating down shares. Yeah, this at a support level. You want to buy one at a support level. This could also be a flat bottom break, so I'm contradicting what I was saying about XRX. But this support level, I truly believe you're getting fair value for your shares on BTI. And that dividend yield, if you want to chase yield, 8.5% is tough to beat. And it's consistently being covered by their cash flow. 80. When they announce that share buyback, you better watch out for that one, because that one is going to rip. Those high margin companies, those are ones that you want to keep on watch, in my opinion, of course. VCIG is open back up, and thank the Lord it's putting in a red candle for right now. 6 minutes left on this candle. Let's see it trade back in somehow. Let's see 3 red candles to the downside. Maybe 7 flat. I don't know. Let's up this alert to like 740. If that alerts us, we'll come take a look back at it. Min catching the top of the board. I haven't got alerted on any other plays. What is going on? Tell is sitting sideways. VFC. We got stopped out of VFC. We gave it a try. Shit happens. Could have took profit on the initial move from the 64 entry. Could have took profits. I thought breaking this downtrend was going to mean a little bit more. Clearly it didn't. So shit happens. CLF, I'd be surprised if we're sitting in this still. 18s are holding. So we got a 16, 18. That's going to stop us out. That one's going to be a no-go. AGEN. Same story. We're right at our entry now. 78. If it gets under 78, that is going to be our out. Let's just go ahead and put an alert. on 79, I guess. Might have to cancel something out. Nope, we got that in. Yeah, other than that, oh my gosh, this name, this VCIG. Hell, you know the news catalyst on this? You want to let me know what the news catalyst is on this? Good lord, this thing is just going berserk. Yeah, this is gonna leave just tell, and you know this one probably ends up going sideways on us. You know, since we got stopped out of 2 of the positions, let's just go take a piece off of tell. Might as well. You know, good size on the bid though, 466 lots. That's 46,000 shares. We'll give it a little bit. We'll give it a little bit. This VCIG going absolutely insane. Wicking into our first retracement that we marked. I guess this is the first retracement at a 784. But if you were just respecting retracements, that 1050 gave you a print. Now, I think the viable trade for today is probably going to be the NASDAQ short, if I'm being honest. You got the increasing volume on the green move up, wicking into these previous highs. It didn't quite get there. But I think if you're looking for a trade, you know, on the daily chart, still a weak name. But, you know, that chart set up on the 15-minute. Nice sideways consolidation. Even the current candle. Look how there's only 3 minutes left on this candle right here. Look how smallly condensed this candle is on this consolidation pattern out. A tight channel, you could say. But I'd say you probably have some sort of uptrend, you know. If it just just broke 140. Finally something alerted us. Tell took out those 46,000 lots, so let's just go take a piece off on Tell. Ring the register a little bit on some profits. Got 38 print, so even my 38, yeah. We can go look around. One that I was watching was Snow. I said down to this trend line, let's see what it does. Not the best look there. I'd say you're better off waiting for a trend line. Looks like everything's kind of just giving up the ghost. All the big movers seem to be giving up the ghost. Or not big movers on the day, but big movers over like the last month or so. Seem to be giving up the ghost. Except PayPal. PayPal's strong name. Does it get to this flat bottom? Right now, is able to, for right now, break through these lows. It wicked into it on Friday. Now we got the gap up continuation. Does it have the strength to push up to 75s? 75, that's the gap fill right there. Still want to keep this NASDAQ short on watch, as I do think this could be a viable play right here. AGEN, let's move this for a crossover. Oh, I feel a sneeze coming. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so let's look through the watch list and see if we can find some names that are stronger than others. So this Soul, man. TMC also another name that looks pretty damn good. Yeah, as I clicked over to it, it's taking out the highs. I did like this TMC setup. It's a tight channel, so if you're looking for something to scalp to the upside and reload, I'd say TMC is probably your move. Just anytime it gets into this, so like a 157, you could have printed it, and you could be on the bid at 150s again right now if you wanted to. Soulhound is, man, look at that chart. How about that chart setup right there? Getting ready to take out the highs. Let's just go and try, have a little fun. Let's go try and have a little fun. Right at a 175 or a 375. See if we can get a pull back in just a little bit to these wick tops right here. So that's 170s, 168, and even like the flat top right here is 173s, but like 370 and 368, that pulled back in. We can maybe try this. The volume's starting to pick up. 14 minutes left, and this volume's already like that. Buyers and sellers, we do have a wick to the downside. Buyers and sellers. This NASDAQ short right in at a level. Is this going to catch a bid right here? Now we could try and add just a little bit right there. Let's go ahead and add a little bit to the NASDAQ short, and let's do it. AGEN still holding the level. Tell giving up the levels. Off the uptrend. PBR gaps up, tries to retrace the gap. Now giving a nice kind of bull flag. If this got over like 14.12, could catch a bid. Has a flat top, 14.25 break, give or take. So TMC, well, what other differences do we have on this chart? We have any red to green moves? No red to green moves. And the Soul Hound. And it sucks trying to buy something at a higher price when you're literally trading it down at the trend line. Continuing to fight right at that retracement we marked. And now putting in that red candle right there. So does this need to pull back in? Here's our other retracement. So like a 777. 777. EBS. Look at that green move. Wicking into that level temporarily. VFC testing the bottom end of the trend line. Soulhound catching a bid. I'm not going to get that pullback. Let's switch that order to a market and let's try and have a little bit of fun. Not too much size. I don't like adding too much size on breakouts. Let's see if we can get 75s. And there we just took probably a 76 fill. Now let's see if this can give us any type of move to the upside. Man, look at that friggin' chop action right there. Surely there's someone in short in the middle of that chop action. 10 minutes left on this candle. AGEN and TEL are the two remaining plays that we got. And I don't like that this is putting a red engulfing through that level right there. We do have these previous highs. Let's just go ahead and stop this at 136. And we'll take a green trade if that executes. Okay, we got that in. That's probably going to end up stopping us out. Let's look back. This man having fun. I put buy at 350. Wait. At 17, and I'm gonna jump off my roof. SpaceX. Yeah, I'll go take a look back at SpaceX. That one actually did have a decent chart set up. Testing the flat top. The only thing I don't like is the tops over here. Now, if I just mark the lows, does it need to pull back into a 5? Does it need to pull back into this sort of trend line? It's tough to say. Looking at the daily. A nice green candle it's putting in right here. But until it gets over 6, I question it. It needs to get over 6, and I will say, okay, maybe there's something there. BAC still wicking into these previous highs, so, and also have some EMA support there as well. Take a look at oil. Oil kind of wicked into those previous highs as well. A 70 hold, but still kind of looks like a short. Nice channel to the downside here. Give or take something like that. Still buyers coming in the middle of this green move right here. And Soulhound is giving us our extension to the high side, so let's go ahead and ring the register and try and just have some fun with this name. There isn't really much out there. Come on, give me those 85s again. I looked away briefly. Let's go on the ask at 85s. I think that'll print 385. And let's just start trimming away at it. Trimming away, reloads coming back in at 370. If it pulled back into like 373, might even be worth an add. TMC continuing the green move. I mentioned you can go on the bid at 150s. You wouldn't have got filled. Previous high held. AGEN still holding strong. So there's the 3 candle moves. Gets the gap up. This looks like one that we're probably going to have to cut, if I'm just being honest. Rejecting those tops right there, and if I just pull this line over to the left, you can see that is the support, 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 resistance, 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 resistance. So we are going to keep that alert in at 180s right there, and if that triggers, then we're going to get out. CLF, we can see if that's holding on by a thread still. And I'll be damned, CLF still is. So I would say if this got over like 1640, which is our print on the name, that is going to be maybe something there. Soundhound continuing. Are we going to get this 385 print? Come on. Not quite yet. This man having fun. Laugh out loud. I put a buy at 350. Are you waiting for Soundhound? You know, maybe 350, just not right now. This is a short-term trade for me. I'm taking a breakout. 350, yeah, 350 very well could come back in. I wouldn't be holding it down there. If that actually gave up like 65s, I'm out. And why do I say 65s? Not only because of the moving average support, but this is your flat top. This is what you want to see hold now that it took out the highs. Well, actually, we have 5 minutes left on this candle, so it's got to close. I want to see 373s hold. And I know you're like, why 373 instead of 375? Main reason is just because it's the body of the candle. And you also get a wick, and another wick. So that is what I want to see hold. But I do like the entry that we're in. We were trying to get 70s. We weren't able to get 70s, so we took a 76. Okay, so we're 4 pennies in the money on a breakout trade. Maybe it doesn't even pan out. But this is one that we're trading back here off the trend line. It's impossible for this name to eventually turn red on me. It's actually impossible. If I get out where I say I want to get out, which is a 360 give or take, it is impossible for this to turn red on me. I'm actually not opposed to adding more to this now that it showed that I can get that green move. But I don't like the wick. The wick is the one thing that I'll say I'm not really a fan of. And here's 75s come back in. So I never got the fill at 85s. That's fine. I'm going to leave that order there, but I'm going to think about adding some more to this play as we're in at 76s. About even size on both sides of the spread. Let's just get a small add right here because I do like how it's holding above this. And if it comes in the 75s, maybe we can try 75s. Let's wait just a little bit. So a little bit longer. I seen 75s on the tape just briefly. So there was some buying pressure off those 75s. And this volume is coming into this name. Buyers and sellers. Let's go ahead and try it. Man, it'd be nice to still be holding a piece of it from down there. What's this move from the trend line? 45%. So we got 76 halves and 76s. And we're on the ask at 85s. Let's see if we can get an 85 print. Would have been nice to get that 85 print right there. And then I would have been able to reload much more than what I just did. But I like this setup right here. Let's see if we can get some sort of move to the upside. If I was marking this as a potential channel. Is there something right there? Maybe. I don't know, it's all sloppy. Let's clear the chart out. That is what we want to see hold. If that 75s holds, this should be pretty good. Now for potential extensions. Oh, this is why I should have looked at this a little bit earlier. We are definitely going to respect that 392. If we see any type of wicking into 92s, we're probably just going to get out of this name. That is scary. Those gap fills right there are scary. And the other scary part is look at how that 702 meets right up with that. The deadly 702. So, I mean, if you're following me, I don't know how many people are out there. But if you're in on this Sound Hound, I keep calling it Soul Hound. If you're in on Sound Hound, that gap meeting up with that 72 is scary. Just keep that in mind. Now, you work through that, okay. Okay. Maybe there's something there. You have a nice trend line. Was able to take out the highs. It wicked over it yesterday and held. And now we're getting this green candle. So maybe there's some further upside move. But those should be on watch right there for some trims. My opinion. AGEN. You know, we could just run a hard stop under like the wick lows here. But still wicking into that level. Oh, that reminds me. Go take a look back at Dish. Dish Network, Hal. Oh my gosh, started catching a bid too. This is how we had the chart set up originally. Over those lows, fought it, tried to hold it, rejects it, now reclaimed it. Still underneath of these lows though. This has been the truer test. Dish Network. I don't know who bought Dish Network on Friday, but that volume increase is 79 million. I'm thinking some sort of hedge fund potentially got in. And looking at this support that they got in at, I mean, if you just mark that gap, the gap fill is what held. It traded below it, trades above it. Now the wick low on the day is actually still at that gap. So not too often you see a gap fill try to hold, and then the following day, like after it's already been filled, it still tries to act. So somebody's in on this name, on this volume right here. Somebody. This is Tuesday. Yeah, throughout this day, someone big got into this name, and it's actually catching a bid right now. This 650 break might be something. Right at those previous lows right now. Very well could be something brewing right there. Soundhound, first red candle is in the making. Nice increasing volume. Goes from 46 to 86 to 286. Closed as a majority red or green candle. I like that. Now I just want to see buyers here at 375. And we're going to be aggressive trimming this name. So if the buyers hold 375, my out is probably around that 365. And why do I say 365? Not just because of the moving averages, but I was looking over here at these wicks, which you could say 365. You could have a little bit more support in right here, so a lot of different areas where there could be some support. Maybe a 360 break. If I gave it the 360, very well could be something there. Oh, TMC, I didn't even see TMC. Started giving that wick up to those 160s. And AGEN, you know, if this just traded sideways long enough and met up with some sort of trend line right here, it would be the third point of contact. Does that mean anything? I am not sure. So let's see if there's any differences in clear movers on the chart. Any red to greens or some green to reds. Nothing super crazy. Dish is the lone red to green. And we're at a 650 break right now. Oh, do I just test the waters a little bit? Man, this setup could be something here. Potential ascending channel. I'd already have to be respecting 55s, but it could blast through that for all I know. Dish Network. I'm surprised they're even a company. Looking at Dish, revenue has been getting hammered. Not really. Around average revenue, but year over year, this first quarter, continuing the trend of descending revenue. Shares, slight dilution. So I actually look at this as kind of a positive. And you're going to be like, what? Share dilution? Positive? I mean, they knew it. They knew that the shares that they had were overvalued. The company knew the shares they had were overvalued. Look at what the stock price did. Why not continue diluting until you feel more comfortable at the share price that you're at? So I'm not going to dock them for issuing shares. If they were buying back shares and their stock price dumped like that, that is company ending. Margins, not really the greatest margins, but they are a profitable company and consistently profitable. We're bringing in cash flow. They had some write-offs in 22, but free cash flow wise, still bringing in free cash flow. Not much, but they're bringing in free cash flow and they're not paying a dividend, so that money is going back to the business. PE joke. I don't know what type of forward PE this have. Maybe the company's going out of business. But I mean, there's definitely worse companies that you can invest in, and for this to be just have gotten hammered like this, trading around a 6 flat, this volume increase, I mean, and the green candle that it left, is there something here? Right around a breakout level. Right around it. VCIG, now we are getting the second or red candle coming in. Is this going to be a trade? Do I dare pull the trigger on something like this on this third candle move to the downside? You know, the wick low is 820s. My retracement is a 778. Wicking, Soulhound, should have triggered me 75s. Let's go check. And we did get a 75. And so we got 3 fills on the name. Let's see if this can give us some sort of move to the upside. And AGEN still fighting. We're at 82s. The SQ kind of giving up the ghost. That's alright. This is just a small ad. Maybe it needs to pull back into these previous highs, but we still have a trend line here as well. NFTG. No volume in this name whatsoever. Nah. A green to red, BuzzFeed. Looks like crap. ABEV. We've already respected this downtrend. Let's see if we can actually blast higher. Yeah, I like that ABEV setup. I'm not worried about it. Man. Dishes are lone red to green play. And Mara. Mara, how about this setup, pal? I don't know if you're still there. Kramer, anything good to trade? By the way, I got some SpaceX. I was telling Hal that you were watching SpaceX. He brought that up earlier in the chat. You got 530. Yeah, I like where you bought it too. I'm impressed, Kramer. Right over top of that neckline, a 530 break was reasonable right there. Also had the bull flag consolidation pattern in that range as well. I like where you bought it. Just looking to the left of the chart a little bit. And I would say, you know, just kind of respect this wick high. But if you get over top of 6, it looks pretty good for continuation. I said I liked this green candle that I was putting in. Interesting play. But a true breakout is probably that 670. So another thing you have going for you is strength. I would say is pretty good. In terms of trades, we got a few fills on this Sound Hound. I keep calling it Soul Hound. What is wrong with me? Sound Hound, just a lot of sideways chop, and I took my first fill at the start of this green candle. I was trying to get 85 prints, wasn't able to get it, and we got 75s and 76s bought on this retracement. We're probably giving it to like 360. AGEN, we're in at 180, so I mean nothing really crazy. We got in on this red candle right here. Thought that it could give us a higher move. We're actually looking for, we got these previous lows marked, so we were looking for it to break through that, and that move should give us up to like 190s, which, you know, meeting up, we thought we were going to get like 190s right here. 188 to 190s, just wicked on us, but still kind of holding. TMC, I'm not really going to talk about how much profit I take on a day, simply because I do day trades, I do swing trades, and I got long-term trades. I got stuff that I'm still holding over a year, even some stuff holding over 2 years. So that I'm not gonna talk about my individual profits. I'm just trying to focus on taking good trades and executing my outs, executing my trims, executing the exits. And it's to me, it's not really about how much you make. It's about, you know, becoming a better trader, trying to be better every single day. Whether it's a negative, something that goes bad against you, and you take that as learning, or whether it's you do really good on something and staying humble and saying, okay, could I have been better here? Could I have been better there? Uh, this channel is kind of about building a process. Find a process. That's what it says up in the name. Staying consistent. That's what it says in the name. Stay consistent. So I'm trying to show consistency, and I'm trying to present a process. Now, majority of the process that I've been presenting is more day trading, more swing trading, and reason being, look at what the Nasdaq's done. I'm not really trying to punch long. I'm not really trying to find names that I'm punching long and I'm in for the rest of my life. No, it's not. That's not really what I think is presentable at this point. You know, for all I know, the Nasdaq continues to rip up, and maybe I look back and say, yeah, maybe I could have been trying to punch long on some stuff around this time. But just when I see setups like this, goes on a run after a nice five-wave structure, sideways consolidation, breaks this neckline. This is sort of the price that holds. Your strength never goes negative, so there's never really a reason to sell. So here's your wave 2. You get a wave 3. Your wave 3 holds the previous highs right here. And then this is just a simple wave 5. When does some sort of retracement come back in? I don't know. So I'm not going to go on the channel here and say, oh yeah, we're talking about punching long here, punching long here. When I was talking about making sticky notes and saying, hey, we're looking at more swings, it was through all this debt ceiling nonsense where, you know, if you're looking at the debt ceiling when that news started early May, if you were making investment decisions based on that, which since 1960, I believe they've raised the debt ceiling 79 times or whatever. But no, 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 no. This 80th time, they're gonna let the United States default. I thought it was just a bunch of bullshit or bull crap. Sorry, I thought it was a bunch of bull crap, and it's just the news stuff. Just doesn't interest me. I try to stay focused on technicals and focus on taking good trades. That's what we're here for. And so in terms of individual profits, that's not really what I am going to disclose. Just focus on taking good trades. Looking at Soulhound, it looks like we are in an alright trade. We got 3 fills on the name, and let's see if we can start trimming this name. We're on the ask at 85s. Let's just go ahead and take a piece on this right now. SOUN. You know, I'm not going to get the best fill I could have gotten. You know, let's see if we can get over those, up to those 82s one more time, and let's see if we can take some profit on 82s. You know, it's, oh man, do I just mark it out some right here? I do like this wick in the middle of this candle, wicking into the middle of the green candle right there. And Kramer, dating back to TMC, we cut TMC in the middle of this red candle. I thought I was getting ready to curl. I wanted to hold this name into the close. I wanted to. It was still holding good strength, but I just didn't know if it was going to give me that flat top break right there. And then it ended like this, and I'm like, oh boy. And then it gaps up, and it's just been this sideways ascending channel for a majority of the time, and I'm like, man, that's too bad. And we were even talking about getting in off this 150 break. It takes 150s, it wicks in the 150s. We just never did it. So could have got back into that name, but we weren't able to. Tell, I should go look back at Tell. You know, Tell is still holding. Definitely some sort of descending channel. Definitely some sort of descending channel. The Stony, we stopped out of the Stony early in the day, but it was still a green trade from where we were holding this on Friday, around this 1320 to 1325. Stopping out at 38. We had some good prints on this name. We had a 1375 print. So we almost got the wick high print on this name, and we thought it was a decent trade. Just we could have played it a little bit better. DLO, a trade from last week, got stopped out early. What was another one? TMC, RBLX. Still holding around this gap. We have one fill on the name on the gap. The position's slightly in the red from where we started the position, and we actually reloaded this at 42s, but we took a good amount of profit on the move to the upside. I'm pretty much just giving it this gap right here. Maybe there's some sort of trend line build in there. I don't know. But I like the daily candle. I don't like the current candle that we're putting in. But I do like that we have strength on increasing volume, holding some levels. So this is kind of going to be more of a swing trade for me, where my true out is going to be like a break of 40. If that got under 40, I'm going to probably just end up cutting that one. And Soulhound, I'm going to hate myself for not getting a trim. But we think that this name still looks fine. Might just need to pull back into 75s one more time here. But we're okay holding this. Would have been nice to get that 82 trim right there. That way I would have felt a little bit more comfortable respecting this 73 to 75 range. And this VCIG, still respecting this sort of downtrend that we have. We're just late on this name. How called it out. We're sitting over here on this candle, and I said, if this pulled back into this previous high, we're all in for it. It was sitting as a red candle at 5, and I was like, I would not be surprised if this candle would just turn green and we rip through 6. I didn't think it was going to rip up to 9. I'm not going to make it sound like that. I did not think it was going to rip up to 9. But now that it has, all we did on this name, we can flip over to the daily chart here. All we did is fib tool, top of the move, bottom of the move. And we got 1070s, 1337s, 16s, and we have a gap fill right here. It closes. You can see the close. The C stands for close at 1701. So we think it is possible that this thing could just absolutely rip. But it is rejecting that 382 for now. Can it blast through the 382? Maybe. I don't know. We have to. Oh, Soulhound's back up at this. So let's get our first print on the name. Yes, sir. Let's see where that print came in at. And we're on the ask at 85s as well. We got 83 halves right there. So 83 halves, and TMC continuing the churn. We said 160 seems reasonable. Top end of the channel. Well, now as this continues moving to the sideways action right here, 160s, yeah, seems reasonable. AGEN actually giving us a little bit of a bid. Let's go ahead and take a piece off of this. Only 4 pennies in the money, and I know that doesn't sound like much, but this is clear resistance in my opinion. 184 to 185. So 4 pennies in the money really doesn't sound that great. But we're just going to take 10% off, and if that comes back into like 180s, which is the original entry, then we're just going to try and reload it if we can. Soulhound should have just gave us that 85 print. Let's go take a look. And sure did. We got 2 prints on the name to the upside, and we are ringing the register. Bringing the energy to the trading. I hope you guys are. And our SQ holding that level. We thought it was trying to give up the ghost. NASDAQ short here. We thought that it presented a level. 3 green candles to the upside. Nice sideways consolidation. Slow moving tight channel. And let's see if this can start giving us a breakout to the upside. That is what we want to see. Oh, my dog snuck under the desk. You little rascal. You are a little rascal. And the SQ looks like we are starting to print on some names here. So having a little bit of fun. Making up for a couple lost trades this morning. And let's go look back at that Soul Hound. Wicked into those 85s. Now I'm going to feel a lot more comfortable reloading these 75s right here, which is what we're looking to do. And TMC printing that 60 and even got up to 61. It sure did. Man, I freaking hate myself for paper handing that trade. I hate myself for it. Why? Why? So some names from the weekend. We can go look at some of these names. Snowflake looks like Cheeks. F-Cell looks like Cheeks. Plug, which is one we took a loss on at the Open, sucks. I thought it was going to catch a bid through that. It looked really juicy. But it stopped out. It was a good stop. Very good stop. Stem looks like Cheeks. You know, we should look back at Dish. And Dish is holding above that 650, which was a flat top and some previous lows over here. We could think about trying to get like 648. This Dish trade doesn't look half bad. And Stony, this was a bad stop. You know, we thought that we were smarter than them by saying, hey, this is probably the channel. But I should have played this like a swing. And why should I have played it like a swing is because this is the bigger uptrend right there. This is the bigger channel. So looking back, I should have, you know, we got 75s, but we're sitting there when it was at 75 saying, hey, I think we can get top end here, and we also have a gap fill to the upside at a 1450 level. So I'm gonna regret selling Stony. Profitable company, also has some growth to it. So 437 to 534, and profitable. And we're holding strength. Like, there was never a reason that I should have sold Stony this morning. We could have just held it. It never went out of the money for us. Not once. So I'm going to probably regret selling the old Stony. But what do you do? What do you do? A bigger red day. We got some of these index names bigger in the red. So, I mean, it's tough to tell, man. It is tough to tell. This AGEN holding the level, that is what we were playing this morning, as it was holding 75s. That is what we wanted to see. And let's see if we got any red to green names. Toro is a red to green. Strength negative, but we actually have more than 50 days of trading on this name now. Not the most amount of volume, pretty light, so we're not even going to think about that one. Dish sitting at this 650. I think that this could be viable. Would have been nice to try it in the middle of this green move. And now I'm sitting here waiting for this name to print 48s or something. This VCIG continuing to follow this sort of channel. But it is leaving a little bit of a wick. You look at a 5-minute here. I don't normally use a 5-minute, but you can see the support here that is trying to hold at 9. So if 9 holds as support, which is wicking into it pretty good, the low of this candle is 920. You know, if this one still could catch a bid, and I'm not counting it out. Soulhound, we gotta be ready at this 92 though. And why do we have to respect? I keep calling it Soulhound. What is wrong with me? Soundhound. We gotta respect that gap fill. That gap has to be respected. We're playing with fire as it is with this name, because that 702 meets up right around that gap. So we gotta respect those levels. In my opinion, of course, those levels need to be respected. AGEN wicking up into those 74, so glad to get a nice print on that. And this is up 7%. That's a pretty big difference right there. No volume on the name whatsoever, but it is a nice green candle. Volume starting to increase at a 650 level, which is sort of a flat top, but I would say tough to say. Not enough volume on this name, but it does have maybe a trend line build. Oh yeah, we forgot about talk about VCR. Was it VCR? What's on the title of this? We got VFC. VFC, let's go take a look back at this. Yeah. Getting stopped out. We knew there was probably some sort of trend line right here. We thought we had 64s. 2 entries at 64s. Got it on the way back in on this candle. Thought it was going to give us something to the upside where it could make a push up to this gap fill. And it still probably could. But I just need to look back just a little bit more. And there's your trend line right there. VCIG continuing to wick. Just no true pullbacks on the name. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's whether it continues to be a red day for the indexes or not. There is, if I just flip this over to the red names, you can see there is a lot of red, a ton of red names. So I mean, it's going to be harder to find. It's going to be harder to find the plays that you like. No question about it. It's going to be harder. Comparing it to the last couple weeks where we've been super strong, even forward. So I mean, we've been trimming forward. We have trims on forward even on this gap up day. So I mean, can I do anything with my position? Am I gonna panic, sell out of the position, even though I'm saying to myself, hey, this looks pretty bearish? We weren't denying the fact that, hey, we got a gap fill right here. We got these wick tops. Wick tops. This leads all the way over to the left. We are identifying weakness. But a touch agreed, saying, hey, I think we can get 1550 still. And I still do think that we can get 1550. So you weren't here. Did you hear me respond to any of what you were talking about? Oh, I really don't know where to pick up on that. Got a couple fills on Soundhound here. Nice sideways chop. Can we get that green candle through that 392 gap? That's what we're waiting for. And I guess we should look back at Tell. Tell still kind of just holding the range in a descending channel. We should put a stop. Not a stop. We should put an alert underneath that. And we're in. Oh, what do we gotta get rid of? Get rid of this one. Let's put an alert here. If that alerts us, we're not really trying to hold this descending channel. We do have a great entry on this. Almost wick low. We got 33s. 33s doesn't even sound possible, but we got 33s. And why'd we try 33s? This was right off the open. 34. So we got it in this first candle of the day. Basically wick low. So we are not going to let this trade go red on us. And then Key Corp, we still have an active alert on Key Corp. I can't believe that hasn't alerted us. You can see this is where our alert was put in right off that open candle. And it has that gap at 962. But holding this trend line for now, you know, if it just trades sideways long enough, I think Key Corp could be a trade. And why do I say that? You know, a lot of green last week. Key Corp was down. And we got this gap here at 662, wicking towards it for right now. So we are going to keep Key Corp on watch, and also Soundhound kind of giving up the ghost a little bit. So we have some prints on the name, so we can try to reload this if this came back in. 28 seconds left on this candle. Let's just give it a little bit of time. TMC blasted right through 160s. God, that's gonna kill me right there. Absolutely gonna kill me. This, okay, now we're really following this channel better. Putting red engulfing, gave up 9s temporarily. A larger green move, so let's just clear out everything. Start from scratch here. 4 candle green move, and you have a gap up, so some moves to the upside as well. So let's flip it to that 30-minute chart, and you can see 2 green candle moves, 1, 2, 14 minutes left on this candle. Does this third candle pull back into like 7s? So we can keep an eye for 7s. But we already know that we are late to the party on that name. AGEN still kind of holding around here. We got 1 trim on the name in at 180s. 4 pennies in the money is nothing to brag about. Nothing to brag about. But we're still in it, and we're still in the money for the time being. Tell. What we got going on from Hal? Yeah, I want to see if they found those folks that are still trapped underwater. I'm guessing you're probably referring to. Oh, I thought I put in a word on this. What the heck? There we go. Yeah, I would say the 30-minute chart. I mean, down to 7. How do we act at 7 if it gets down there? TMC, the big mover, continuing to hold this green candle move. Tight ascending channel. It's tough. Oh, Solheim's back into this 76s. Let's try and go on the bid at 73s. And reload just what we cut. Just what we cut. So we had 2 trims, one at 83s, one at 85s. And let's see if we can just build into this. And let's go, we'll go 74. So 374, we're going to try it for a reload if that fills. And my out is probably going to be underneath 60s. Yeah, some good support. Probably have some sort of trend line in right there. But we think that we can get 92 gap. If we can get that 92 gap, we will have gotten what we're looking for. And TMC continuing the churn, starting to wick top end of the channel right here. So just tighten that down a little bit. Tighten that down a little bit. Still respecting the top end of the channel. Tight ascending channel. Mara now 4%. We said that this was all we were doing. This is what we did. We have a large watch list. We're in the sort of middle ground right here. We went into these red names, right? So we had these red names. We were looking for something that was red to green. And look at Stony. Look at Stony. Man, red to green move. Is there something there? Holding positive strength on a 15. Holding positive on a daily. Old Stony of a 200 or a 526 watch list. Stony is the red to green. Can you guys believe that? Man, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And when I stopped out, I was like, oh, we're still 16 cents in the money. Not bad. Why wouldn't I just hold it? But Mara was one of those red to greens building this flat top right here. I do think that this volume increase could have been the start. Gives a gap up. Fills the gap, trades in at some levels. Now, not just because there's moving average levels right here. Look at all, like, here's the top of a candle. Here's the body of a candle. Here's the body of the candle. Look at these wicks in right here. There is all sorts of support, even dating back over to the original gap up. Where, I mean, look at the original break. Over top of this wick. All that sideways chop action in there. And now we're starting to flirt with some sort of breakout. Let's go take a look at a 15-minute chart right here. Nice hold. Gaps up, fills the gap, catches a bid, rejects the level, holds the level, and now it takes out the highs at, call it a 10-10 break. 10-10 break, breaks right through it. Is there going to be anything that means anything here? I don't know. But a nice trend line as well. A little sloppy. A little sloppy. Not a perfect trend line, but it's a trend line. and 74s just printed us on Soundhound. And now kind of giving up the ghost a little bit, wicking up, kind of a bull trap right there. Anyone taking that secondary break of this wick right here could be out of the money. So our reload is a couple pennies out of the money, and this is why we wanted to respect that. This is a little bit of what we're worried about, but still holding these highs. Mark that wick, mark the bodies. Is this going to be able to hold? We could give it the top of this wick right here, and that's at 68. So I mean, we could stop this at like 65s if we wanted to, but that's right at this flat top as well. So let's just give this a little time to breathe. We paper handed a few. We paper handed some last week. We like the setup. Yes, it's not at that trend line that we had originally marked, give or take something like that. You know, it probably, oh my gosh, probably runs something like this. Not at the original trend line, moved off of it a little bit, but I do think that this could potentially print up to 4 if it got through 92 gap. So let's go back, zoom back in. And we are at 375s, 376s. So 75s holding, those previous tops holding. For now, this is why, you know, sometimes you just gotta let the levels trade. You just gotta let them work out. Now that doesn't mean that this can't flush through all of this, but sometimes you just gotta let them work. Let it play out a little bit. No need to panic over stuff. And VCIG got to 850s. Sort of a wedge pattern instead of a descending channel. We've never really gotten to that bottom end of that channel. So if it were to get over top of the previous body candles right there, which is what it wicked into temporarily right here. So call it like a 960, and then you can mark the top end of the candle as well. So like 960 to 990 is going to be like, how do we act right there? Until we get through that, I don't think there is a viable trade. My opinion, of course. And Soundhound putting in a nice wick, so buyers are there at the levels. And what I mean by levels, previous highs, wick highs, and moving average. The moving average is nice to look at. Yes, it is. But it's nice to see the buyers coming in at some levels, and let's see if this can get some further movement to the upside. I'm sure there's also some sort of trend line, maybe building right there. If it's an ascending channel, can we get some further upside move? AGEN still holding the level. Tell hasn't alerted me, so that's good. I don't even want to. Oh, we forgot about Cleveland Cliffs. And how about that? All we did was we said, okay, let's put the alert in underneath. We're in at 1621s. Let me keep that in mind. We're in at 1621s. We have a print up at 1640. Why 1640? It's the previous lows right here. Got to respect it. Gap down, you get the entry. Now, why did we get the entry here? Got a fresh positive break, bull flag continuation. Give it a few days to trade out. We're in here near previous highs, but we were expecting this name to actually come into the gap. This 1605 gap, and we said, okay, let's get a starter position right here. It wicked down briefly, and we said, okay, we bought it right off the open to 1620. We got one print, and we're still holding. We're still holding. Now, we said if we stop out 18s, we're looking for the gap fill. So we weren't going to give up on the name entirely, and I'm glad that we're still in it because it is working in the money. And Soundhound up at 381s now. So let's, we got some reloaded names. Let's start trimming part of that reload and just keep ringing the register. If it wants to keep paying us, let's see if we can get 82s here. 82s is going to look pretty good for breakout though. Hold 80s, come on. Okay, 27 lots coming up on 80s. Can we see 82s on the ask? I'm just looking to get a little bit more. Just a wee bit more. Am I being greedy? Am I being greedy for 1 penny right now? I think I am. I think I am being greedy for a penny. I don't think I should be greedy for a penny. Let's get a piece off. And we ring the register a little bit off of the reload. Let's see where that print came in at. Should have been 80s, more than likely. 80 halves, so we took 6.5 pennies from the reload. Nothing to really brag about, but if it does come back in the 75s now, I will continue to respect these previous highs as long as it wants to. Looks like the NASDAQ is catching a little bit of a bid, so that should be good for some of the positions that we're sitting in. Hopefully the market can catch some strength. Now let's look at the NASDAQ daily here. I don't know how many people are tuned in here, but I by no means do I think we've set a top. If I'm just going merely off strength, guys, here's your positive break on strength. We've never gone back negative, and we are very elevated. Even if it pulled back to like 14.6, I'm going to be sitting here saying, hey, this is probably a decent spot to go long. And one of the main reasons why is it didn't have much action off of that gap. I was identifying that gap and saying, hey, that looks good. Now, let's say we trade back in to this 14.6 and we catch a bid up to maybe we gap down and we start wicking in and leaving a lower high where we can set some sort of descending channel. That's going to be early signs of some sort of ABC retrace. We have the wave 1, 2, 3, 4 retesting wave 1, and we got the wave 5. Is this wave 5 over? I don't know. I don't know. But we do get pretty close to those highs over here, and we do have some lows. So we have some resistance over here that we need to fight through. Is this wave 5 over? Does it need to run a little bit higher? And then we get some sort of ABC retrace back down to this previous high. Does it get that low? I don't know. But that is what I'm worried about. That is what I'm worried about. But by no means am I saying, oh, yep, top's in. Check it off the list. Top's in. No, no, we're not doing that, guys. We're actually looking back over at this Amara and saying, man, we seen it turn red to green. We seen it go red and turn back green. We liked it. We liked it. And we're sitting right at a 1050. Let's go take a look back at Dish. Dish still sitting sideways here at this, oh man, this 650. Is this are we buying the top end of this channel? Do we need to pull back into these highs before this is reasonable? Ah, man, it looks pretty dang good. Let's just take a breather. Deep breath. Sometimes you just need to, clear up a little bit. And, those NASDAQ shares, it was a small ad. We have a lot of positions that are going to cover that loss. Actually, it's probably going to make us more money that it gave up this low. So by no means am I going to sit here and say, oh, panic, panic, panic. No, relax, take a breather. This AGEN, 183, 3 pennies in the money. We got one trim. I'm probably not going to reload this name until it can show me, okay, let's push up to 187 or 188. And if it pulled back in, okay, now we can reload. But we're just going to kind of sit back and watch that name. Let's see if there's any more red to greens that we can identify. But you got some green to reds for sure. 11. Catching a little bit of a bid. Wall. Okay, now we're talking. A stock that actually has some movement. Taking out these wick highs right here. Where do we gap from? So there's Friday, Tuesday. So just barely in the green. Just barely, but it is a red to green move here. And are we breaking some sort of downtrend? Maybe. Just maybe. Could have something here. And we're trading at a level, has strength, near a previous high. Is it enough though? Is it enough? I would say that's probably good enough to call that a wedge pattern, if you ask me. Wall. Keep that one on watch. I would keep this one on watch right here. TMC, thank goodness, giving up the ghost. Now I don't have to freaking sit back. Now, this, from the entry that we get right here, we got boom, we wick into the previous highs right here, we take an entry, we take an entry. There was no reason to sell. You get the gap up, you respect the top end of the channel. Okay, it gives you another leg up. You respect top end of the channel. Okay, it gives you another leg up. Respect top end of the channel. Now it's giving up the ghost a little bit on some increased volume. Okay, maybe we can think about exiting a position here, and we're sitting 20% in the money. That's a different story right there. Now that's a different story. Soul Hound got to as high as 83s on that candle, coming back in. How does 75s act? We are going to try another reload on Soul, or I keep calling it Soul Hound. Sound Hound. Let's go on the bid and buy that and reload back up. We're gonna go 375s and just continue rinse and repeating that as long as it wants to pay us some money. And if we get the breakout we're looking for, we know there's a gap at 92s. This has been trading sideways an awful lot. Yeah, there's nothing really there. TMC, EBS, how about those green candle moves? Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Oh, oh man, I haven't looked at my chat in some time here. Uh, Geez, we got quite a lot of to catch up with. Space was assisting in that recovery as well. I believe those folks who bolted in with 17 bolts from outside the limited oxygen, no way to free themselves to inside the pod and lost somewhere in the ocean. I cannot believe they didn't have a failsafe with GPS device or some type of tracking. I hope the folks found a sue that company. Yeah, Space 603. Space up at 603. Let's go take a look here. You're in at 60s. Yeah, I mean that's a great entry right there. Those 530s, right off that breakout level. It gapped up, tries to retrace. Here's a true breakout. If you were really playing aggressive, you could have said, okay, gap up, boom, take the entry. But 530, I agree with where you got in. You got the three candles off the open, boom, boom, boom. Nice increase in volume, one consolidation candle indecision. Even though it has a little increased red volume, you do have a wick of buying. As soon as it takes out that high, boom, it's go time. And what level holds? We wick into the previous top. This is when Hal was talking about, and I said, hey, is wicking into the previous top? Am I a little bit late? You know, obviously, given a nice move, I would respect the top end of this wick near that breakout level. The true breakout's going to be that 670. Go back over to the daily. Nice green candle coming in. So, I mean, if you got the entry, you can maybe hold. But if this got over 670, I think you are looking a lot better. Wait, did that news drop? There are no updates on the people in the submarine yet, and still searching as of now. At Lauren, how long have you been trading SPY? Hey Rooster, watch SPY. It's getting those levels you were watching. Uh, I do like this level. I'm not denying that, but at the moment I think I just got a little bit on my plate that I gotta watch. This one would have been one where that first breakout right there would have been gorgeous, and that 530 break that Kramer got, it looks like it would have been uh, a pretty good entry. Was $4 in your risk management system, or did you plan for the breakdown? Plan just breakdown. So depending on how big your position is, you need to try working your way out. You need trying to work your way out. I'm not sure what position you're referring to. Thank you. I've been in position. I have 4,000, 5,000 shares, and I have to make a hard decision. You got 5,000 shares somehow. And Soundhound right back up. Did that give us a 75 print? We need to go back and look and see if that filled. Nope, open order, never gave us 75s. That's alright. We're going to cancel that order now that we're trying to catch a bid. And let's see this give us that breakout. Nice sideways action. Putting in a hammer candle. Can we get that green engulfing candle? And there's 84s. Let's go take another piece off right near this breakout level. And you're probably like, why are you taking a piece off here? Just in case. It's right into these wicks. It hasn't been able to get through that yet. And there's 155 lots on 84s. So let's go ahead and take piece off, ring the register again. Can't ever be scared to take a little bit of profit. And there's 85, so fought through that. Let's see if we can go on the ask at 90s. Let's go on the ask right away at 90s. If that gives us a green candle through 90s, we are going to trim. We'll go 88s to start, just to keep respecting the levels. AGEN, only 4 pennies in the money. Is it going to give us something? I don't know. Stony. Oh, Stony. Why? Why you gotta do that to me, Stony? Why do you gotta do that to me? We can take a look back at Roblox. Roblox trying to catch a bid. Good shares bought off those gaps. So we got some shares in the red. We got some shares in the green. DLO. No, not yet. Not yet. VCIG still trying to hold this level, but we do have this descending channel sort of marked out. Maybe it can be a little bit marked like that. And let's wait for some sort of direction in one way or the other. And Cleveland Cliffs. This one's going to be more of a swing trade. If it's working for us, and it sure is, man, I wish I could have reloaded that just a little bit. And yes, let's see this catch a bid. Now getting closer to some sort of downtrend right here. Do we need to respect that downtrend? I'm not sure. Let's go take a look back at Wall. That was a red to green move. And still just kind of trading sideways. Any more red to green? We got a red to green on FRZA. A very, very light volume. Not going to waste my time there. And we have no other red to greens. Soundhound attempting. It looks like we got up to 80. Nope. No 85 prints yet. Or 86 prints, I meant. Mara wicking into those highs. So had you gotten that entry down here, you'd be sitting pretty good. I called that out as soon as it went red to green. Doesn't mean that it's going to give you any further move, but if you can get the entry and hold a piece for the dream, that's what we like to preach. Dish still holding above. Oh my gosh. We're going to try this dish trade just because of that volume that came in. If we can get it as close to 50s as possible, that is what we want to see. So if this can come down into like 50s, it wicked in the 50s once. But only reason why we're even looking at this trade is just because of this huge volume spike from the day before. If this is some sort of move, early signs for a 750, you know, at current price, we're talking about it right here. That's 13-15%, give or take. And now we're up at 54s, 55s, and it's starting to give us some sort of break. 93 lots on 5s, and at 8, nope, it got rejected. We are going to get ready, our order ready, as soon as, if we can get anything close to 650, we're going to try it. Or if this was some sort of ascending channel, you know, we could be buying damn near the top of it. But if that broke that channel with the green engulfing, man, I'm going to hate myself. I'm going to hate myself. Soundhound printed 86s. Oh, did we get a printed 88s there? We might have got a wick high print, and we will be looking to reload that if we got it. Oh no, it didn't give it to us. We are on the ask at 88s. I don't know how much size was there. Not sure how much size was there, but we are there on the ask at 88. CVS was one of the names. Still in a decent channel. We need more time on that one. Coinbase. Coinbase, not a half bad look, honestly speaking. Never even got to the trend line. Put it through that entire green move right here. Nice trend line hold. Stony is ripping. Man, oh man, that sucks. That sucks. And Soulhound did just give us those 88 prints. It should have at least. Yes, sir. We got 388 printed, and let's see if we can get some further move where we're going to go on the ask. Oh my god. Dish, 334 lots on 55s. If it breaks through that, that is going to rip. Let's go back to Soundhound and get on the ask for a 20% cut. And I know you're going to be like, man, 20%? But we are respecting that gap fill. And we got 3 fills on the name, and if that prints 92s, we are going to get out of some size. And look to pull back maybe a retest of like 78. I know you're going to be like 78, there's nothing there. Well, we can start at 78s, and if it gives us 73s, we can respect the flat top. VCIG, continuing to respect this descending channel to the downside. Is the move over? TMC, look at that green candle move. Green engulfing candle through that. Looks pretty good. PayPal, we said this name looked strong off the open, gapped up, never came down to the gap, wicked into the previous highs, took out the highs, consolidation pattern, now taking out the highs. Looks good. Mara, continuing its move to the upside. Soundhound up at 390s. Can we get 392s? Can we print 392s? See if there's any. We got a couple green the reds. Wall. We want to keep this one on watch. We think that this one could be a ripper. Nice wedge pattern. We'd have to respect 38s. Timber with the red to green. Nothing crazy there. ACHR, nothing there. Any more red to greens? Hills, sloppy. Nothing there. Soundhound, wicked up to as high as 91s. So I'm guessing there is definitely some size that scared some people a little bit briefly off of those 92s. So we did not get a 92 print. Maybe we did and it's just not showing on the chart. So let's go take a look. And no, we did not get 92s right there. So coming back in just a little bit. Let's go take a look back at the chat. I have been in position. I was talking to Lauren. She is down on trade and looking for advice. Level VWAP all the way back at 650. I would say I don't need to have a VWAP there to see 650 is reasonable. Let's go take a look at VCIG. We got 7 marked, and why we have 7 marked, we look at this 30-minute, and we are 15 minutes left on this. We do have the increasing volume, 2 nice green candles. What is the retracement of this green candle move? So that's 764, and down to 678. This is the 3 levels I would want to see hold if it continues following this descending channel, which I'm sure I can probably mark a little bit better. A tight descending channel like that. And that first level, 767. Soundhound back up at 390. And we can go look back at Tel. Tel is trying to fight this descending channel right here. But looking at the daily candle for Tel, not half bad. Getting a fresh positive break. This is what we're buying. We're buying this little flat top right there. Wicking into it. We feel alright about that position. And wall turned back red. Okay, let's take a look back here. Do we see something here? Couple green candle moves in the middle of this original green move. 3730s. Something like that. VFC, we paper handed it. We didn't have the channel set correctly. Why didn't we have the channel set correctly is because we didn't look to the left of the chart and see that this is where the channel actually starts. We did not identify it. We only had a trend line set like this, and that is why we got stopped out of the trade. So that is very good. Looking back at that trade and just kind of identifying that, hey, always try to see the bigger picture. But other than that, we are approaching this 12 o'clock. It has been a nice live stream. We've been streaming for about 2.5 hours. And yeah, I'm going to say that we're just going to nurse the positions that we're in. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Had a lot of action in the chat. This is what we like to see. Shout out to H&H Trader. If you haven't seen his channel, go check him out. But that is going to call it for the live stream today. And I will see you guys maybe later for the second live stream later in the day. So other than that, I hope everyone has a good day of trading on this lovely Tuesday.